Okay, so starting at $549, we have the RedMagic Astra gaming tablet. I picked this up during the pre-order time, so I got $29 off. And I also picked up their official case. So I'll show you the tablet and the case and tell you what it's been like using it. My use cases are primarily browsing the internet and consuming media. Even though I have email installed, I don't actually do any work on this thing. I have other computers for that. What I wanted to do was have a really portable mini tablet that wasn't stuck at 60 hertz like the iPad mini, even though I'm on Apple's ecosystem otherwise. It is a shame not to have iMessage, I will be honest, but I wanted something that was compact, portable, great display, something that I can actually use outdoors as well. Now, this is a glossy finish. You could probably get a matte screen protector at this point, and after doing the matte screen protector install on my Legion Go S that I'm reviewing, I think I'm gonna start throwing matte screen protectors on all of my stuff. I mean, even my MacBook, I might do that because, because of what matte screen protectors do for your eyesight. Like, just killing that glare is so valuable, but it also has an effect on overall contrast and brightness, so keep that in mind. This is a 9.06 inch, 2.4K OLED display, and this is a rocking display. It's really impressive. In fact, what I thought was interesting is that, so just out of the box, right, you unbox it, you start using it, I mean, I was blown away. I thought, man, this thing is snappy, it's bright, it's a beautiful OLED. I had no idea, but there's actually an enhanced display mode setting. And it says right here, you turn this sucker on, you're gonna love the contrast and stuff, but man, it's gonna consume more power. I've found the power consumption to be quite good just as it is right now without turning that on. And I didn't wanna jeopardize that, but I could. I definitely could. Because better contrast, like, let's go for it. But I've kept it off for now. Okay. This also has a variable refresh rate of up to 165 hertz, and I've just set it to automatically throttle that refresh rate for me, so I don't have to think about it. Again, I'm in the early stages here. I've had it for like 2 weeks. You know, I pre-ordered it, so I was one of the first to get one, I guess, but even still, they haven't been out for that long. So I'll do a follow-up down the road, but for now, I just want to get the basics recorded here. Okay, now, I don't game on tablets unless I'm doing a review. And so I've downloaded some streaming applications to help me do that, and I'll eventually download Diablo and stuff and try those games out too. And my controller of choice is going to be the Razer Kishi V3 Pro. I really like this handheld. I've been using a handheld controller. I've used it on phones for review and stuff. And I think that, you know, even though the USB port won't align, where'd it go? It's down here, it's on the side rather than in the middle. I think it's going to be a great controller to test things out. I've connected it just for fun without the case, and it connected just fine, you know, even though it's off center. So we'll have to do some testing on that, but not in this video. And by the way, if I'm going to do any gaming on a little tablet like this, it's going to be streaming from my desktop, just because I don't really enjoy mobile games all that much, not the ones that I've tried anyway. Okay, I'm really impressed with how snappy this thing is. And even though I don't use all the features that make this a great gaming tablet, I use those for the other use cases that I have. Reading outside on a tablet is brutal because of the glare, the brightness levels, and you know, the fact that in sunlight, it's hard to read unless you have a lot of brightness. And then that starts to create so much heat that the tablet or the phone or whatever device it is, your Mac, it can't sustain that brightness. In fact, it might get so hot, not just from the fans spinning, but also from like just the environment outside, right? If you're in 85, 95 degree weather, you try to read it on a tablet or a computer, your computer is just naturally going to get too hot and it's going to want to just shut itself down. I haven't gone to that point. I've definitely pissed off my phone to that point, but not my other devices. But one of the gaming features of this tablet is a built-in fan that can spin up to 25,000 revolutions per minute. And with that, I'm able to use it to cool down the device in the sunshine so it can sustain the brightness and I can read a little bit longer. I have not tested it to the max because we just haven't had super hot weather yet. But I think, hey, we're in the month of August, there's probably more hot weather coming. So I'll do a separate video on that and some kind of like my final thoughts on the whole device when I get a chance to really test it out. Okay, 165 hertz, 2.4K OLED, like the display is really something special. The contrast is awesome. And just navigating this thing is an absolute treat. I've taken some video calls on it. There's a camera right there. It's not a bad camera by any means, but this is not, I mean, you're not buying this for work productivity necessarily. It'll get you by in a Zoom or a Teams call, Google Meet, all that kind of stuff. It's fine. But if you want to have like a serious meeting and you're in a suit, then you're probably going to want to use like a Microsoft Surface or an iPad or something like that. But for little things like, a little bit of work stuff on Google Notebook or Gemini, a couple emails there through Outlook, it's totally fine and no complaints other than like typing a lot is a pain in the butt because you're using an on-screen keyboard. Of course, you can pair it with a physical keyboard through Bluetooth, but I think at that point, you may as well just get a Surface or an iPad. Okay, let's take a tour. So RedMagic, it took them a little bit, but they did release an official case. And I like it. It's an interesting case. It's $50, and it has a nice felt finish on the inside. It does have this folding option too, so you can kickstand it like this. All right, you can just, there we go. It's always harder to do things on video, especially at these angles. I swear this works, I do it all the time. There we go. You can kickstand it like that if you want to. It folds up. But what I found that I mostly do with this is I rip this off, it's magnetic. I just pull it apart and I hold my handheld like this. I hold my tablet like this. So the back is more like a TPU case, wrapping around the entire device. And then they add this magnet as well. So you can throw, it's not as tight as something like MagSafe, but you can throw a pop socket, magnetic pop socket on this, and then you can hold it like that if you wanted to. I have one that I can pull off my phone. This is gonna be weird, hang on, there we go. Okay, so now you have a magnetic thing, but it's not in the center, and that creates some problems, but you can use it as a kickstand if you wanted to. So, yay for magnets, but that's only because of the case. Around the corners, the case is very protective, but not protective of the sides. All right, which is honestly fine by me. I don't know, I'm very careful about my tablets. Okay, now once connected, it's a pain in the butt to get the tablet out, like a super pain in the butt. You gotta like really, and you don't wanna damage anything, right? Like you can see I'm putting a ton of force on this and it just doesn't want to come out. It's very strong. But this is what it looks like when it's all connected. It has a little magnetic flap here, which is a good idea because this magnet is definitely strong, but there's, if this were flopping around, there'd be a risk that the whole thing would come apart. So I think it's good they put this here, but just keep in mind, it's gonna overlap your little circular magnet that you have. Okay, let me try to get this case. I did it, case is off. All right, let's get a better look at the device. So on the right-hand side, we have our volume rocker, a microphone, and this is the toggle for game space. I'll show you that separately. On the bottom, that off-center USB-C port, speaker grill, another microphone. On the left side, there's nothing there. And then on the top, another speaker grill and the power button. On the back, it's very similar to the RedMagic Air phone and this new design language. You can see the Snapdragon 8 Elite branding right there, vapor chamber. There's your fan, composite liquid metal. Like, I love this design language. And this is really a flat design. So unlike the Air that does have raised lenses, this guy is flat. Okay, there is a facial login. There's also a fingerprint login. If I can get this right side up. So your fingerprint reader is built into the power button. You can just go like that and it unlocks. Hang on, it's not working. Try that again. Bang, just like that. And then the Face ID. So let's go to security. So here's our menu. RedMagic has a small amount of additional stuff overlaid on top of just your basic Android. So you have all your usual connectivity stuff here on the left-hand side, and this is where it starts to get more RedMagic specific. There's some built-in wallpapers and themes, fonts and stuff that you can access. And then you can customize your home screen a little bit. I'm disappointed that we can't make this smaller unless I'm missing something. I'm sure you can install another launcher if you wanted to, but just out of the default, kind of out of the box stuff, I'd like to have a few more icons. Like I cannot fit any more icons down here. It's blocked off. So I'd just really like to get another row. I think that would be helpful. Yeah, just kind of like your usual settings. And then there's this other one, this thing called Board. And Board is a little bit like Google News. So if you turn this on and then you swipe, you're going to get some, here we go. you're gonna get some stuff directly from RedMagic in terms of like articles and stuff. And like, dude, pop culture stuff, I don't care at all. And it's mostly what comes in here. So I like to leave it disabled. Okay, now your display settings. So you can adjust your brightness. I don't know if you can even tell how bright this is, and it's not even at half brightness. There's an automatic brightness setting. You can adjust your fonts. Now, the display size changes the font size and the menu size in settings, but it doesn't actually change the icon size or the desktop size. So that's a bit of a bummer. You got your screen timeout. The screen will remain lit when the eye is detected looking at the screen. I mean, it's pretty cool, but I don't need that one on. I've got my refresh rate set to automatic, but you can force it to 165 or 60 if you wanted to. And I do have it displaying in the top left corner, which I know is probably difficult to read. And there's that enhanced display mode. The English translation here is a bit off, but here's the point. Like if you wanted to, if you don't feel like this is beautiful enough, you can make the contrast even more apparent, but it's going to increase your power consumption. My guess is it's going to light up those colored areas a little bit more, but I don't feel like I need it, and I like having a little extra battery life, especially when I travel, so I've kept it off. You can customize the notification bar and status menu as well. You can turn on screen automatically when receiving notifications. Like that's going to affect your battery a little bit more too, so I don't have that enabled at all. Change your time format, that kind of thing. Sound and vibration, pretty straight and to the point. Separate volume depending on the activity type. And there's an area here for DTS sound. So I was not super thrilled with the audio, but I thought it was fine. I had it on Smart Selection, and then I was browsing through Reddit and I saw that somebody posted this. And I thought that was pretty cool. And it does sound better for the kind of stuff I listen to. So that was a good improvement. Thanks to that guy. Okay, now you got the AI. You got to have AI. So there is a sidebar you can turn on. I have it enabled. Hang on, let me just show you. Why is it not turning on? Maybe I have it on this side. My bad. I thought I had it turned on. It looked like it was still turned on. Yeah, sidebar is enabled. Okay, well anyway, there's this sidebar. So you can access some additional applications and such. Nothing like too surprising there, other than the fact that it wasn't working. And then what you put in there can be changed here. And then there's a translation service that I don't bother with. I don't need it. Okay, now our cooling fan. Now with this cooling fan, like I mentioned, it has helped in the little bit of testing I've done to keep the brightness up and keep the tablet cool while I was reading outside. So you can turn it on here, and then there's some additional settings. Maybe you don't want it to run when you're charging, or you don't want it to run when you're on a call. So that's good to have. And then you can change the sound. I like the car sound. I think it's pretty cool, but there's some other ones. Yeah, those are cool. Of course, you could just turn it off too if you wanted to. Okay, there is a light strip, so you can turn it on, and then you can have some additional settings in terms of like when it turns off, and then what gets lit up and what the colors are. And we just set this to on real quick, and blue. Okay, and there you go. Your fan is colored now, and then the logo is also colored up, which is really cool. All right, so let's go back to the light strip. Go ahead and turn that off for now. Okay, there's some additional features. I actually haven't messed with these very much. Okay, game space. We have to get into that. So that's what the orange colored toggle is for. It's for game space. Let's see, system navigation. Yep, if you want gestures or if you want old school buttons. Easy touch, clicky touch icon will expand automatically. I don't know what that is. We'll have to play around with that. Okay, so you have, quite a bit of options here you can play with. You can go to your app settings and kind of the usual Android stuff over here. Okay, so what do I want to talk about next with this thing? Game space. Okay, so you hit the toggle. And launch just right into game space. Go ahead and keep that down. So you can see I don't have any games installed yet, but if I did, they would show up here. You can click on them, and then you can adjust the settings right off the rip. You can adjust your controller settings, audio settings, fan settings, right? And then if you press the profile icon, you have additional global settings, like your screen settings, in-game, specifically in-game. Some like touch settings and stuff like that. So, it's an effective solution. And to turn it off, you just got to hit that toggle back one more time. Okay, so I will do another video on this and get into more detail, but for now, that's the RedMagic Astra. It's fitting all the needs that I was looking for, but I do have to test it a little more in the heat and the sunlight to make sure that the cooling actually is going to work for more long-term reading, like 30 minutes or so, or 45 minutes. That's long-term when I'm sneaking it in during work. And we'll do some game testing down the road. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.